Thank you. Hey guys, we're all having fun yet? Okay, come on. Yes. All right. All right. I'm not one of those talkers that wants you guys to just sit there, okay? You guys got to say something every now and then. All right, so if you haven't noticed, the theme for our event this year is, general badassness. So, according to my title slide, it's Welcome to the Jungle. We just want to welcome you all here. The first thing I want to make sure you guys know is, could you please make sure and turn your cell phones off so you don't bother anything, because we are recording all the sessions. So we don't want to have that interfere with, we don't want that to interfere with anybody trying to talk. So I wanted to start off by giving you guys my standard Captain James T. Kirk. Happens to be doubting a nice little YUI logo there. For the conference, we're going to be on Twitter, so make sure you follow us all at YUI Library. And we're going to tag everything with the hashtag YUIConf. And when you're up on Flickr, tag it with both YUIConf and YUIConf 2011. That way we can find all the cool pictures that everybody's taken from the event. So a little bit about the event today. We're going to start off with my talk. We're going to have talks till 5:30. We've got lunch from 12 to 1, dinner tonight, and we have our Bayjax event tonight with Doug presenting a new talk. And then tomorrow we got talks all day, and of course lunch. I wanted to give a shout out that our lunch today and tomorrow was provided by Yahoo Mail. If you guys haven't checked out the new Yahoo Mail, you really should, because the entire thing is written in YUI 3. And anytime you guys compose an email in there, I'm the guy that helped with that, because that's my editor right there at the bottom. So you can think about that every time somebody sends you a message, or every time you send a message. YUI is powering that, so that's kind of cool. And then our dinner tonight is provided by Into Now. I want to give a couple of quick, real good shout outs to the people that helped us out here. So of course, Jenny, for putting this thing on. It's not easy to put on a conference. So I want to make sure that we let everybody thanks Jenny for all the hard work and all the long hours she did to put this on. And then we got our cameramen back in the back. We got Ryan. He's going to be doing a lot of the camera work for us. So trying to censor myself. And then we got Alan back over here. He's going to be doing a lot of our other videotaping. And then you're going to see Reed, as he's coming in back over there in the corner. He's going to be taking a lot of our pictures. So we want to thank those guys, because they're the hidden guys behind the conference. They're the ones that help people that weren't able to make it here, actually feel like they were involved in the conference. So I'm gonna bust up the talk into a bunch of little pieces, and well, there goes that cell phone again. So I'm gonna give you guys a reflection of the things that's happened since last YUIConf. So the things that we've done over the course of the last year, and then we're going to go into what we're doing now and the things that's going to be coming in the future. So one of the things I wanted to bring up was we added a couple of new team members this year. You can see here back in June we got Derek. Derek comes to us as a Yahoo, so he was an internal transfer, and it was kind of nice to be able to bring him in, because he's always been really involved with YUI at all of our events and our hack events, and he's always been right there with us. So we get to bring him into the fold, and I can't wait to see what he's going to come up with. The next one we got is Eric. Now Eric, I don't know if a lot of you guys might know Eric, but Eric's been really, really popular in our community. And if I'm not mistaken, he's our first community acquire. So that's awesome that we got one of our community members that was so passionate about open source that they were able to come join us. And that's huge. All right, see? I had to give you guys a that's huge at least once. And so there's a little bit of information on the gallery. So 2 years ago at YUIConf, I released the gallery, and our first gallery module author is right there. He actually submitted a pull request in the middle of me giving my presentation. It was awesome. So you guys can see here, in the last year, this bar across the top is how many new modules that were added to the gallery. As of last YUIConf, we had 206 modules in the gallery. That's pretty impressive after 2 years, 206. As of this morning, 350. We've almost doubled it in a year. That means it's still growing. That means you guys are still giving back. And it's really important to be putting stuff into the gallery, because when you put it into the gallery, you get your users excited about it. You get them starting to use it, and you start working on it more. You put documentation into it, and you put examples into it. And next thing you know, it's going to be actually in the library, because we have one of those. Our resize component came from Alloy. They put it into the gallery, and we pulled it up into the core system. So it's a really, really good place to make yourself known in the community and give people the ability to use your code as a first-class YUI module. They don't know the difference. They just drop it in, and it works. As of that, we've gotten 76 new CLAs this year. So that's 76 new people writing code for YUI that we can actually put up on the CDN, and we can deploy, and you can count on the fact that they know what they're doing. They have taken the time to fill out the CLA. They've taken the time to write documentation and make examples and put this code up there for everybody to use. So I want to show off a little bit of the top gallery contributors. You might notice there's a couple of Yahoos in here, and there's a specific reason for that. The first one we got, of course, is Alloy. I mean, they're the largest contributor with 70 modules, and that's pretty impressive. But they're a team. What's really cool is that they were a team of people that they're putting out a product, and they're like, wait, we're just going to open source all this stuff, and we're going to toss it in the gallery. But with them having 70 modules, that's a pretty fair amount. But the next one coming up here, Anthony, 29 modules. That's almost half of what the Alloy team has put up there by one guy. That's pretty impressive. I mean, I'm not even up that high. I don't have that many modules in the gallery. You notice I'm not even in the top 5 because I want you guys to do it. You guys, next year, I want more faces up here. I want to be able to show the top 10, and we got triple digits. That's going to be awesome. So the next one we got is John. Now, the reason John's up here is because John is a Yahoo. But almost everything that he likes to work on at Yahoo, he tries to get into the gallery. He tries to force them to open source it and put it into the gallery so other people can use the stuff that he's worked really, really hard on. And that just that opens up the entire web dev team at Yahoo to be able to do that too. If we can convince every other team to say, hey, I'm working on something cool, but why not just give it to everybody? Let them all have it. Let them use it. I mean, I worked really hard on it. Why not let them all have it too? So then you guys benefit from it. So the next one up here is Luke. Now, Luke is a YUI team member, but he's got 17 modules in there. But one of the reasons he's got 17 modules in there is a lot of those are patches. We're actually using the gallery to fix little issues in real time when you guys come up with them. If you guys have a problem with one of our components and there's a breaking issue in there that you guys need fixed, we can write a patch and have it pushed up to the CDN in a week. I mean, you could write the patch on Monday, and on Wednesday, it's up on the CDN, and you can use it to fix the problem that you had. So that's the reason Luke is up there, because he is very, very adamant on if he finds a problem, he'll identify it and fix it, and then put it up on the CDN so you guys can use it. You don't have to wait for the next version of YUI to come out. You don't have to run the entire stock, the entire thing from head. You don't have to do that. He's giving you an out. He's giving you the ability to on the fly, patch your little problem until the next version comes out. And then Carity's up there. He's got a lot of components in there, but one of his big things is the fact that he was a really, really big contributor in YUI 2. And he kept going. As soon as we switched over to 3, bam, he jumped right on it, and he's been in there putting in some really high quality stuff. And it's the stuff that he works on in his day job too. So we're trying to open the doors and let every Yahoo have the ability to put their code up here, so everybody benefits. So it's just not the 12 of us on the YUI team doing it. It's the entire front-end engineering team at Yahoo doing it. Now that's some talent. I mean, that is a whole lot of really high-quality code that you guys get to use every day for free. So enough with the gallery. I'll talk a little bit about the forum. All these nice, pretty graphs and charts. I'm not used to this. I'm used to writing code. But here, you can see the purple line across the top. That's actually our forum growth. That's how many new posts have been going into our forum that our users are actually asking questions on there, and we're giving them the response. The impressive part is that I'm not the #1 guy in the forum. One of our long-standing supporters, Satyam, actually beat me last month with more posts into the forum. He's beat me by over 150. You can see here that new topics, new posts have gone through the roof. We have over 25,000 posts since last year. Not in the 2.5 years the forum's been up, that's since last year. With over 10,000 new users coming in to ask questions and ask for support. And it's nice that the community's actually picking up on it. Some of us on the team don't have to go in there and constantly be answering questions, because there's a lot of the community helping the community, which is exactly what we want. We want the users to be engaging back and forth, because that's what gets them higher in the gallery. They start coming up more popularity in the gallery. Next thing you know, they're here giving talks. So one thing leads to another, and it's a snowball effect. So here, I want to show you some of the new components that we released last year. The app framework, we've got a really good talk coming up on that. Autocomplete, one of the coolest little widgets I've ever used. But you can see here there's a giant list of new components that we came out with last year. But as I was saying, resize right here is one of the important ones, because it is one that we actually pulled in from the gallery. We made it a first-class citizen. We gave it a landing page, we gave it examples, and we give it 100% support. Some of the other things we've done is we spent a lot of time doing some upgrades to the core system, because the core system has gotten a little old, compared to what we're doing now. So we tried to speed it up, we tried to break it out a little more. We're always trying to make it smaller, lighter, faster. I spent a very long time on Loader. That part right there, specifically, is where my hair went from Loader. And we upgraded the graded browser support. And I want to give you guys just a brief run over on that. There was a lot of confusion over what we did. And basically what we did was we kind of took all the grading scale off of it, because it's not really a grading scale. It's more of a, this is what you should be testing on to make sure that you're covering all your bases. So if you test on this grid of browsers, there's a 99.9% chance it's just going to work everywhere if it works in all those, because all the other browsers and all the other OSs, they all kind of inherit from these. So there's no reason to test on all of them when you can test this small batch and actually get the job done. So we wanted to, we're actually trying to call it, the browser test baseline, because this is how we want you to do your testing. Now every website and every community is going to be a little different. So we know you might have to toss a couple other browsers in there, because it's really specific to your market or your market share. But for the most part, this is what we recommend that you test against, and this is what we test against as our baseline. We do have a few others that we toss in there just because we want to make sure that we work everywhere. But these are the standards. These are the ones that we guarantee it's always going to work. Does that make sense? Yep. Okay, got a couple. Maybe next time I ask a question, we'll get a couple more answers. All right, so that's what we did last year. So, man, somebody with that cell phone. Gee. So now what we've been doing today. We've been really working. I had to get a Harley in here somewhere. We've been working really hard on making things fast and tough. We want it to withstand anything you want to throw at it. We want it to be non-breakable. You guys can use it, and that Yahoo is using this. We're using this on our biggest properties, and it's used billions of times a day. It's strong, and we want to make sure that we emphasize that it's just not it's not all hodgepodge hooked together. This stuff goes through thousands and thousands and thousands of tests nonstop by all the various properties every time that they put a release out. They're not only testing their stuff, but they're also testing ours to make sure that ours work. And we have to make sure that we can fit into that industrial strength area, that we're configurable enough that we can downscale it so that these properties that are worried about every little byte gets all the power out of it that they can get from every little drop that we send down over the wire. So one of the other things that we've started doing to make sure that that we can live up to these industrial standards is that we've moved to sprint-based releases. So we have a defined timeline on how long the next version is going to be, what's going to go into that version. Every micro piece of that version you're going to know ahead of time. We're not just going to randomly start throwing things together, but you can also bank on the timeline. 2 months from this date, you're going to get a preview release. From 2 months from that date, you're going to get another preview release. They're all going to be on the CDN. You can just swap it out and start testing it. You can actually start using the PR releases. So you guys can help us make sure that we're doing our job. So, besides actually having a better schedule and one that I can look up on my phone and make sure that I've got all my stuff done, more community involvement. So we've always been really big on the community, trying to help us out, but we've always kind of fell a little bit behind. So we're trying to, put our blog posts out there, put our schedules out there, put our milestones and our timelines, so everybody knows what we're doing all the time. I would rather go, on a public website to get my schedule. I want to look on the same site you guys see is the one I want to go to find out when the hell I have to have my code done. The other thing is our GitHub integration. We've always been really tight with GitHub. We're making it even tighter. We've got 1,000 people watching it, got a couple hundred forks in there. But one of the things that we started doing is a couple of months ago, we started accepting pull requests from GitHub. So you get to use the standard GitHub pull request system that you would use on any other open source project. You can use it with us. You don't have to go through our old website, which I built before the pull request system actually worked on GitHub. So now that it's there, we've actually accepted a few dozen patches from community members just through the pull request system. Now, not only do we get to use the pull request system, but we're using the comments on their display to carry on open conversations with the public so they can see why we're doing this. As you'll notice here, these are YUI team members. We're having an open discussion on a commit on GitHub in the public so you guys can watch and say, no, I don't like that. Or, hey, how about it do this too? That's what we want. We want you guys to be able to help us give you what you were asking for. That's what it's all about. So we're trying really, really hard to use GitHub to its max. And we're doing code reviews this way. As a matter of fact, I think this is I believe that's from the app framework that Eric and Ryan are working on. They're doing commits openly on a branch on their personal GitHub accounts, and they're having conversations back and forth about why Eric wanted to do this and why Ryan wants him to do that and why it should do this and how it should do that. And the best part is, you guys get to see it all. And we've never done that before. So this is a really big step for our entire team because we've always kind of been a little bit behind the firewall and this little black box of YUI that stuff just happens and cool stuff comes out. Now you guys get to see it. And you're welcome to participate in it. Everybody, anybody with a GitHub account is welcome to comment on any line of code that we put in because we will respond to it and we will discuss it. Plain and simple. What do you think?
Great.
Good. Yeah, come on. It's better. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is our new image. What do y'all think of that? Yeah. So we went through a major rebranding last year, and we learned a lot of things about the old website and how it was kind of fractured apart, and how it looked a little ancient and a little old and a little dirty, you know. So we spent a lot of time refactoring our image so people would see us as a unified front and not spread out everywhere. So the main goal behind that was the new YUI library site. So Ryan and I and a few other people on the team spent countless hours putting this thing together in our spare time, opposite of writing all the other code that we had to write, to give you guys this new uniformed place that you can get all the information that you want and the information that you need to be able to use YUI better. So besides, you know, the nice, crisp, clean new look, we also tossed in a bunch of really, they're prettier code snippets, but they're also really easy to like copy and paste, so you don't get like all the extra bullets and all that other crap and stuff in there, you know. So we like really refactored that and made them a lot nicer. They're easier to cut and paste. They're easier for us to code. The other thing we did was we revamped all of our user guides and made them much easier. We made them smaller so they're not this giant page you guys scroll down to find all this stuff in. They're all really concise, they're really neat, and they're really easy on the eyes. And all of the example documentation, you know, it uses the same look and feel that everything else does. So, you know, everything kind of flows and all melds together, makes it really easy to find. And then, of course, the new API docs that we've tried to enhance a little bit more by being able to put like code samples and code snippets inside of the API docs. We've also been able to add in a bunch of new little options up there. You see like the optional, and then the fact that that silence a Boolean, and you've got, you know, the different return types that come back. You know, we tried to amp them up a little bit more so you can get more and more information out of all of it. Now, you want to know what the best part is? Yes. You can modify it because it all sits in our main source tree. Every one of our examples, every one of our landing pages, and all of our API docs are on GitHub in our normal source tree. They're all in Mustache, so they're easy to modify. You can just pull them up. You can even use the little edit box up there that GitHub has now and modify one and hit save and send a pull request. It's that simple. All the API docs, we made them more robust, but you can modify those just as easy. So that was a really big thing for us, was to make sure that we got all of this stuff out there, and we wanted to make sure that everybody could use it. So when we did that, we had to pick a certain set of technologies that we knew that everybody would want to be able to use. So the new YUI website is actually powered by a bunch of really cool stuff. The two biggest ones are these. They're two little open source tools that Ryan and I have been working on. Celic is the actual documentation generator that generates all of our examples and all of our landing pages. You can pull Celic down through NPM and install it, and you can actually run all of our examples in pretty much the same skin on your local machine. So it'll stitch like all those Mustache files together so you can see the examples run locally. That way you don't have, there's no guesswork about it. If you want to modify something, you're like, hey, I want to bust this up into a couple other paragraphs, or I want to put a little note under here so it'll help the next person. You can just pull down Celic and start using it. You want to see what the YUI docs look like? You can just pull down my documentation project there, the new YUI doc, which is all written in JavaScript. You can pull that down and run it on our source tree or your source tree and see what the documentation looks like, so you can go in and help us make our documentation better. So if you find that it's documented wrong and it does something different than what it's documented, you just go in there, grab the source file, modify it a little bit, and send us a pull request. We'll pull it in. The absolute awesome part about this is it's all written, with Node. All of it's up on GitHub, powered by Express, Mongo, Nginx, everything else. We can actually deploy the site in under 4 seconds. And we do it 3 or 4 times a week. So if you guys want updated documentation because you found something that you needed fixed because it didn't make any damn sense to you, change it, send it to us. We will deploy it. We will put it out there so everybody else can see it. That's the point. And that's why we chose all of this to do it with it, because it's so simple. Yeah, that's just as cool. I just like that slide. I don't know why. So that's everything that we've done. Another cell phone, jeez. So that's what we've been working on today. So now we got the things that we're going to be working on. These are all the stuff in the future that you know, the things behind the scenes that we've been working on. And of course, my #1 favorite has to be Node. One of the things that I'm working on personally in these next couple of versions is to actually make Node an official supported platform that YUI runs on. It will actually have a UA entry. So you'll be able to use conditional loading. You know, one of the coolest features of Loader is, you know, so it will build itself inside the system just like it's supposed to be there. Not to mention the fact that we're going to test on it. You know, we're going to make sure that it runs. A little sample. This is what everybody's used to using, YUI and Node. It looks just like it does in the browser. Well, one of the main focuses of it is I wanted to make it even easier to use YUI on the server, so you could actually require a submodule underneath of it, so you could use it in other Node apps. If you only wanted 1 or 2 pieces of YUI, you know, like maybe you wanted our base system, or you wanted custom events, or you wanted YQL, you could actually require YUI and YQL and only get the YQL object back. Or you could, you know, use it more than once. So you know, I wanted to make sure that we use it fairly well, and it lives inside of Node like it's a, you know, a standard Node module. The other thing that we're releasing too is handlebars built inside of YUI, and you'll be able to use that. Actually, there's quite a few other talks today that you might want to get into because there's a little more information on that. So some of the component updates that we're working on, of course, the core system and Loader are 2 of the things that pretty much, you know, lost the rest of my hair. And we're really going to be focusing a lot on BiDi and right to left. We want to make sure that all of our modules play nicely in that field. We want to make sure that by default, when you get a tab view and you flip the direction of that page, that tab view just does what it's supposed to do. You don't have to do anything. It just automatically does what it's supposed to do, and it behaves the right way. We want to make sure things like carousel, when you click and it shoots images across. You flip the direction on that page and you click over here and it shoots the images the other way. You know, we want to make sure that we live in that environment properly. And a lot of that is, in a strange way, people might not see it this way, but our skinning has a lot to do with that, because of the way that we have to handle, you know, certain things. Like we can't float things left and right because float doesn't work with direction, you know. So there's a lot of ifs that we have to put into our skinning. So we're really rethinking the way that we skin our widgets and how we do it, because we also have to remember we're not just a JavaScript library. We're a web development toolkit. We have CSS tools. We might as well make our skins as much CSS as possible and then only add the JavaScript that's necessary to do things that we can't normally do, you know? And that's something that's a philosophy that we've had to work really hard on, and trying to figure out, you know, the best ways to put all these together and make all these things work in all these different places, but, you know, do it in a very performant manner, because CSS, you know, default CSS rendering is a whole lot faster than doing a bunch of crap in JavaScript, right? So if we can make CSS do the bulk of the work, and then we can just add the little bit of flair here and there to put things in the right place, then everybody's going to win. And then, of course, you know, Get and Loader. Luke has a ton of stuff that he's got on the table for data table, and Eric and Ryan have been working really hard on the app framework. I'm not going to go into the app framework too much because you need to check out Eric's talk. It's going to be really good. So some of the new components that we've got coming up here. Wow, I forgot to take the step off of that one. So these are the components that we have on the list for 3.5, which is our next release. You know, of course, handlebars, PJAX. Everybody know that definition, or do I need to define it?
No.
Okay, so defining the PJAX is the progressively enhanced history management. So when you click on something, it changes the URL, but then we'll go fetch part of a page and bring it back in and not require a full refresh. Got it? Cool. We've got our test console. So we have all of our YUI tests have a specific little console that we can see all of our results in. And it's kind of handy. So we went ahead and wrapped that up into a widget for you so you guys can have a console that just mounts onto the YUI test and shows your results nice and pretty instead of having to build one of your own because everybody's going to build one. We've got a lot of work with tree view, a widget light, uploader, and HTML5. So instead of using Flash, it'll use HTML5 for uploading. Our button widget, and we've got a bunch of windowing components coming up. So tooltip and dialog are very important things. Pointer, I actually had to ask what this was. So pointer is like the little iOS modal dialog with a little arrow thing that sticks up at the top. Yeah, see, all you nodded your heads too. So, so I had to get what that one was. So the next big thing that we've got coming out is we're going to have a book. We're going to have a YUI 3 book. And note, this is not the real title. I thought the slides and the font was pretty cool, so I tossed them up there. So Evan has been working very hard on this cookbook. And this cookbook it's not going to be like these big giant book. It's going to be one of these little cookbooks that each chapter contains a specific example to show you how to specifically do one thing. So it's going to be a really good guide to, if you needed to do this, you're just going to flip it open, there it is. Exactly what you wanted. So he didn't give me a picture, so I pulled that off of Facebook. You're welcome. See, it's what you get for not giving me a picture. He's got a free sample of the first 3 chapters that you guys can pull down. Someone tweet that URL, please. That way everybody knows it. All right, got some phones going. I'm going to leave it up there so you guys can read it. But he's got the first 3 chapters up there. That way you guys can go through it and see what it's going to be like. And he takes hints, tips and pointers and anything else that, if there's something specific that you want in there, he's got no problem trying to help out to get it in there. I've read them and I like them. He's doing a fantastic job on it. He makes me sound a hell of a lot smarter than what I am. So I'm really happy about that. Did everybody get that URL? Make sure somebody tweeted that thing. All right, so the next thing is we've got Yeti. Yeti is something that Reed wrote, and I've been helping him out on it. Got a little sample of what Yeti actually does. Sorry about that. So this is actually my Yeti cluster at home. There's 23 device and browser combinations running all of the YUI tests at the same time. And those are all the results coming back of all the various tests that have passed and failed. So this is something that we're going to be working a little bit more on, so you guys can see it. So yeah, there's like 2 iPads, an iPod, a HP tablet, a Motorola Zoom, a Google Chromebook, all the various versions of Windows and IE, and that's all running on my little stand-up desk at home. And Yeti's cool. So I was really happy to be pushing Yeti and pushing it to its max, because nobody had ever pushed Yeti that hard. They may have run 5 or 6 browsers on it, but nobody ever tried to do 20 plus. And I can run the entire YUI source tree in about 13 minutes on 23 devices. And that's pretty impressive. And Yeti is all built with Node. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Reed's going to be coming up with next, to make Yeti even better than what it is now. So enough with that. Let me get on to, again, So a little bit about the talks that we've got coming up. So I'm going to highlight a few of these things so you guys know what you want to pick. So the first one, we've got Alan doing a talk on the new calendar. The new calendar is really slick. It's really fast. It's definitely built with multiple filtering and dates selections, which is something that I've been wanting for a long time. I really suggest that one. We've got Jeff, who's going to be talking about the dial widget, which is just totally cool to play around with. And what's really cool is that the dial widget's built with drag and drop, and when you pull it up on an iPad, I can go, woo, and I can spin that little dial around. That's just awesome, because the fact that drag and drop just works. So I'm really happy with that. Then we got Trip. Trip's going to be showing you guys a bunch of the advanced features of our graphics. And if you happen to notice this little violin head here, that thing is written in our graphics library. That's one of the examples on our website showing you what the graphics library can do. And I was just really impressed with the picture of that. It's a really high quality picture. Of course, we've got Eric over here, who's going to be talking about the new app framework and the things that he's been working on. And we got Luke. I don't know if you guys can see that one, but that's one of our really, really horrible examples for like mix and augment, because it's really hard to put a graphical thing to like mixing prototypes together, you know? But Luke is going to try to help you guys understand the differences between like mix and augment and things like that, so you know which one of those you should be looking for and how you should deal with that when you're putting together your classes and your widgets. And then we've got Derek. He's going to be giving a YUI talk. Why should you be using YUI? You know, what makes us stand out from everybody else? And we've got some other talks that we've got going on. We've got quite a few of them on YQL. YQL is really cool. I'm a really big fan of YQL. That's why I wrote the YQL component for YUI, because it's just awesome. We have a bunch of mobile talks. So one of the big things that people always say about YUI is that YUI is not meant to work on mobile. Well, I beg to differ. It is definitely meant to work on mobile. One of the key features behind YUI is the fact that we're modular. Everything is tiny. It's all broken down into little bitty pieces. So you can pick and choose the little bitty parts that you want and make that happen. So if you don't need all of the IE stuff, then don't load all of the IE stuff. You can just put the simple stuff onto a mobile device and it's still going to work. That's the whole point. And that's the reasoning behind all of our little modules, is so you get to pick and choose every little piece that you want and put it together to get the benefit of, you know, all of our hard work of making it that modular, but you get the benefit of using that same code in all the different places. So we've got quite a few of the nice little mobile talks. And of course, we've got testing. That's another big thing that we're on. I don't know if you guys can read that, but it says, "I find your lack of testing disturbing." So there's quite a few talks on testing, because testing, you know, saves our ass. I mean, you can't get any more simple than that. If it can't pass the test, you can't ship it, plain and simple. You know, I've got something like 1,500 loader tests. I won't even come close to committing something unless all 1,500 of those pass. I'm that paranoid, you know. But besides the fact it's a really, you know, key component, but even if it's not a key component, it's your component. If your tests can't pass, you can't ship, plain and simple. So we're showing you some of the things that various people here at Yahoo and various people out in the public are using to test their code to make sure that their code is solid before it goes out. And then of course, we've got, you know, Node is involved with almost everything, you know, because I have, you know, a little bit of an influence on that. Ironically enough, I don't think I own a Node shirt, but I would if I had one. We've got a lot of community talks. This was another big one for me, is that I was really happy with the number of community members that stepped up and said, "Hey, I'm going to give a talk." That's impressive. You know, YUI community members coming in to give a talk means that you know, they believe enough in it that they want to share what they've learned. And I love that. You know, one of the main things I love about YUI is the community. It's the fact that everybody's joining together to, you know, to accomplish one goal, and I love that. So the first one we got is Jeff. Actually, he's over there. He's going to be doing a demystifying loader. I might actually sit in on that one just because I want him to tell me what the hell loader does. And then Ryan Ryan's coming in. I stole that one from Flickr too because I didn't get a picture from him. So I went and stole that one. He's from NFL.com, and he's going to be talking about their migration to YUI 3 and all the cool stuff that they've been doing. The next one. Now, this one kind of threw me. One, he didn't give me a picture. Two, I took that with my phone last night outside. And three, that's Hatch, if anybody didn't know, through our IRC channel. So I didn't know that until after I talked to him for like an hour. And then somebody bothered to mention that that was his name on IRC. So that's why the little @ sign is at the bottom of your name tags. Put those on there so everybody knows who you are. You know, because a lot of people don't know your real name. They know your handle. So he's going to be doing a talk on YUI for designers. A lot of people think that YUI is not made for designers. It's not easy enough for designers to get into. Well, he's going to change that. He's going to let you know that it is easy for designers to use, and it is easy for them to prototype stuff rapidly and show you how to do it. We also have Pat. He's going to be talking to us about automating website automation. So he's going to be showing us a little bit about Ant and the little tricks for compressing and making your site run faster and easier. I had to steal that one from Flickr too because he didn't give me one. We got Eduardo. He's going to be giving an Alloy talk. I've heard good things about the diagram builder. I haven't seen it yet, but I can't wait to. And then Andrew. He's going to be giving us some YUI hidden gems. He's going to be talking about the stuff that not everybody knows about. You know, these are the little hidden things that make your life a little easier. I'm going to give him a little bit more of a shout out because he brought me some Mountain Dew this morning. So we're on the end of it now. Just wanted to sit and talk to you guys, a little bit about, the whole thing for me is community. That's the whole thing that gets me going with everything that we do, is that we want your involvement. We're not this little magical black box over in the corner that does stuff. We can't do stuff if you don't ask for it. If you don't tell us what bothers you, it doesn't help us fix the problem. So the more of you that can get into the forums and ask questions, the more of you that can file enhancements in our ticket system, or even fix a bug. If you find a bug and you know what the problem is, fix it. Send us a pull request. We'll take it. We're not just going to throw it away. We will take it. But we want you to know that you're the reason that we do what we do. We don't do this for any other reason than the community to build cool stuff. People are always asking me what I do for a living. I'm like, I build tools to help other people build cool shit. But I can't help you build that if you don't tell me what you need. So we want your advice. We want your input. We want you guys to help us understand what it is that we're supposed to do to make your jobs easier. Okay? You guys think you can do that?
Yeah. Yes.
All right, good. So I have to put the slide up there. It says where all my images came from. So now you guys can read that. That's where the images came from. And I hope you guys enjoy the conference. All right? Have fun. That's what it's supposed to be. But also learn something. And then tell your friends. All right?